Is it recording? It is recording. We are live. We're going. Hi everyone, welcome to Coding with Chandler. I am so sorry I haven't posted in a while, but I am really excited to be back on YouTube with a new video geared towards folks who are looking to bulk up their interviewing skills or maybe land their next gig. It takes a lot of practice and preparation, and no one can be the perfect interviewer right off the bat. I think a great way to prepare for interviewing is learning more about the mind of an interviewer, and I've gotten the privilege to learn that these past couple of months through doing some mock interviews and interviewing at my current position. And let me tell you, there are some common turnoffs that we notice right off the bat. No different than when you're on your first date with someone new and their phone rings mid-conversation and they don't show signs of interest. It's pretty similar when you're interviewing a person. Both sides are trying to feel each other out and see if they'd be a good fit, like a first date. With that being said, here are some common turnoffs that can happen during an interview that you should avoid. A common mistake that I've made in the past and noticed in other candidates is curveballing the interview question by telling the interviewer what you think they want to hear rather than giving an honest answer. For example, in the past I was asked pretty simple questions like, what are my weaknesses? And my response always was that I work too hard and that I can be a perfectionist. You may as well say my weakness is that I don't have any. That actually might be a better answer than responding with a strength as a weakness. Don't quote me on that. Versus answers that I've heard from more honest candidates that clearly thought through their past mistakes and gave answers like, while I'm working on it, I know I need to speak up more. And they gave clear examples for why that is and how not speaking up impacted their team and how they're currently taking action to strengthen their weakness. Clear and honest answers like this that have a clear problem, action, and solution will definitely get you past the finish line. Trying to tell the interviewer what you think they want to hear shows that you either didn't prepare or that you're trying to butter up the interviewer. And because they probably interview tons of candidates per day, they can definitely tell. And this leads me to my next point. A huge turnoff in an interview is not having any past experiences in mind, or in other words, not preparing. If you've been to a job interview before, you were probably asked something along the lines of, tell me about a conflict you had with a team member and how you handled it. These are pretty common interview questions and are honestly asked in a lot of reworded ways. And not having an answer, to me at least, tells me you didn't prepare. Don't get me wrong, it's okay to kind of freeze and stop and think about your answer, because sometimes we were asked something that we weren't expecting. But if you can't give a clear example and elaborate on it, then it hints to us that you either didn't prepare or just simply don't have the experience. In the past, I've gotten the privilege to talk to a senior software engineer at Google, and they gave me some extremely powerful interview tips. And one of them stuck out to me the most, and I'm going to tell you, don't tell anybody, it's a secret. Think of past mistakes and how they were solved. Maybe you caused a bug or missed something during a code review. Think of a couple of accomplishments, maybe an improvement that you made on a project. Think of 5 impactful experiences, both positive and negative, and I can almost promise you that when you are asked about your past experiences during an interview, either good or bad, you can pull from that pool of answers you created and connect them. And this helps so you're not sitting there like, when was a time I screwed up in the past that's worth mentioning in this interview? So try to think of at least 5 experiences and keep them stored in your cache so that you can use them later. One obvious but common mistake is not researching the company. When you're in the job market doing interviews after interviews, it's really easy to get a little lazy and do minimal research on the company. One of the most common questions asked in an interview is, why are you interested in the company? Tell us what you know about the company. Why are you here? And you'd be surprised how many people can freeze up and not answer that question or give a very baseline answer that's obvious. It's like interviewing for Ford and they're like, tell us what you know about us. And you're like, yeah, you guys make some really solid cars. You could be a super qualified candidate and then get disqualified right off the bat for simply not researching the company. And that's one of those turnoffs I mentioned. It's the equivalent of going on a date with someone who forgot your name. Would you want to see that person again? So brush up on your knowledge a bit before meeting the interviewer. Try reading the About page, or maybe there's some articles you can find online that are about the company. And it can also help you construct questions for the interviewer. And that actually leads me to my next point. Coming to an interview without having questions is a very common red flag. If you have true interest in a position, you have to verify your assumptions by asking questions. And from the company's perspective, it just comes off as if you don't care. No company will read your mind and fulfill everything you're looking for, which is why you ask. A common mistake that can happen, especially if your resume is outdated, is not being able to speak to the content on your resume when asked. There's been a number of times when I asked an interviewee about a past project and they say, "Oh, I haven't worked on that in a while, I can't remember." I usually like to pick people's brains about their past projects and why they chose the technologies they did. Hint, hint, common question alert. And they can't really speak to that past project. This doesn't necessarily determine whether or not you're a good candidate, but it does sort of alter the trust that the interviewer has in you because, well, you were picked for the interview based on your resume. So if you can't speak to it, it's like, are you who you say you are? That's like meeting up with someone on Tinder who says they're 6 foot and they end up being 5'4". Come on. If there's something on your resume that you can't speak to confidently or you can't remember, then it should probably be removed so that you can avoid being asked about it as a whole. Make the interview easy for yourself by not putting things on your resume that isn't true. Or a more helpful and effective way to handle this type of issue is to maybe go back and refresh your memory on that particular project or language listed on your resume. And if that helps refresh your memory and you feel like you can speak to it confidently, then go ahead and list it on your resume. This is a mistake that some people don't learn from until they make it, like myself. Speaking poorly of past employers. That's a no-go. I remember a time during my past experience where I was interviewing for a company that had a 4-step interview process. It had a phone screening, take-home homework assignment, half-day in-person interview, and then lastly, an interview with the VP of the company. And I remember going into the final step thinking I pretty much already had the job because I bombed the first 3 interviews, until I was asked about why I'm leaving my current company. And I didn't have the nicest things to say, and I pretty much criticized the way they've made their workflow decisions and their methodologies all around. And thinking back on it, I could have made the same exact points in a more professional way that wouldn't have costed me the job. So learn from me, if you're asked about why you're leaving your current position, be honest, but in a way that isn't slandering. This can be a red flag because Lord knows what you would say about their company if you left them. Talk about your previous job in the same tone that you talk to this company. These mistakes are extremely easy to make, especially if you haven't practiced and you've kind of been about your ways. I think we've all been there. Take some time to do a mock interview with a friend or an expert. It is great to make mistakes before they count. If you're interested in improving your interviewing skills or you're looking to get some feedback, sign up for a mock interview with me today. Just visit my Calendly link and put some time on my calendar. I'd be more than happy to help you ace your next interview. But if you're extremely set on your ways and not looking to get any feedback, you could be making the same mistake over and over again without even realizing it. I hope this video was helpful. Please share with a friend who is currently interviewing. Subscribe, hit the thumbs up, and comment below a video you would like to see in the future. I'll see you guys soon. And this leads me to my next point, and it's that a huge turnoff during an interview I swear, people just rev their engines here in Houston, and it's so annoying. That's like 4 different vehicles. They are jamming. Okay, let me just, out of context. It has never been attractive to anyone. It's like, oh, you're playing loud music. That makes you so cool. Like, why do you guys do that? And then they rev their engine. It's even worse. I never thought, I want to date that man. Yeah, I'm totally moving away from the city, big time.